The Hyperion colony's warning sirens shattered the perpetual twilight of HD 985's twin suns. Dr. Sarah Chen rushed to the colony's central command, her breath creating small clouds in the facility's rapidly cooling air. The environmental systems were already failing. "Status report," she demanded, scanning the holographic displays that filled the room. The other scientists and military personnel moved with practiced efficiency, but she could see the fear in their eyes. Multiple objects detected entering the system. Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his fingers dancing across the sensor array. "They're like nothing we've ever seen before. No heat signatures, no conventional propulsion systems. They're just moving." Sarah leaned over the display, studying the incoming vessels. They defied every principle of space travel she knew. No reaction mass, no visible means of propulsion. They moved through space as if it were water, leaving ripples in the fabric of reality itself. "They're accelerating," Rodriguez announced, his voice tight. "Current velocity suggests intercept in 17 minutes. Sarah activated the colony-wide communication system. "This is Dr. Chen. All non-essential personnel proceed to emergency shelters immediately. This is not a drill." She turned to Colonel Webb, who had just entered the command center. "Sir, we need to contact Earth." Webb nodded grimly. "Already done. But at this distance, it'll take hours for the message to reach them. We're on our own." The unknown vessels continued their approach, moving with an eerie precision that seemed almost mechanical. Sarah's mind raced through possibilities. The colony's defenses were minimal. This was a research outpost, not a military installation. But they had something else. The Quantum Entanglement Lab. "Colonel, I have an idea," Sarah said, pulling up the schematics for her latest experiment. "We've been working on quantum-based sensor technology. It's experimental, but if we can modify the array to create a localized field of quantum uncertainty." Webb's eyes widened as he understood. "You want to make us unpredictable at the quantum level." "Exactly. These ships, their movement, it's too perfect. They're operating on principles we don't understand, but maybe that's their weakness. They expect everything to follow their rules." The colonel didn't hesitate. "Do it. Rodriguez, get Dr. Chen whatever she needs." The next 15 minutes were a blur of activity. Sarah and her team worked frantically to modify their research equipment into a makeshift defense system. The quantum field generator was never designed for this, but desperate times call for desperate measures. The alien vessels entered visual range, crystalline structures that seemed to bend light around them, making them appear both there and not there at the same time. They arranged themselves in a perfect geometric pattern around the colony. "Field generator online," Sarah announced, her finger hovering over the activation switch. "But sir, I have to warn you, this is completely untested. The quantum fluctuations could tear us apart just as easily as protect us." Webb looked at the approaching aliens, their perfect formation speaking of a civilization far beyond human understanding. "Doctor, I think we're about to be torn apart anyway. Do it." Sarah activated the quantum field. Reality seemed to shudder around them as probability itself became uncertain. The alien vessel's perfect formation faltered for the first time, their movements becoming erratic as they encountered something their sophisticated systems couldn't predict. True quantum randomness. "They're pulling back," Rodriguez shouted. "Whatever you did, it's working." But Sarah wasn't celebrating yet. "No, they're regrouping. This bought us time, but they'll adapt. They'll find a way around it." Webb nodded, already understanding the implications. "But we've learned something vital about them. They can be confused. They can be disrupted." He turned to his communications officer. "Update the message to Earth. Tell them we found their weakness. They can't handle chaos. They can't handle humanity." As the alien ships regrouped for another attack, Sarah watched their movements with new understanding. These beings, whoever they were, had mastered the universe's laws in ways humans could only dream of. But in doing so, They'd lost something essential: the ability to adapt to the unexpected, to thrive in chaos. The battle for Hyperion Colony was just beginning, but humanity had discovered its edge. In a universe of perfect order, their greatest weapon would be their own imperfection. 2 weeks after the Hyperion incident, Earth's quantum research facilities hummed with unprecedented activity. Dr. Chen's discovery had sparked a scientific revolution, but time was running out. The alien vessels, now designated as the Symmetrians, had been spotted approaching multiple human colonies. Admiral Elena Santos stood in the center of Project Chimera's main laboratory, surrounded by holographic displays showing the latest test results. The room's blue glow reflected off her dark eyes as she watched another neural interface test sequence complete. "Show me," she commanded. Dr. Marcus Wong, the project's lead neuroscientist, pulled up the neural mapping data. "It's working better than we hoped. The quantum uncertainty field doesn't just confuse their sensors. It creates a space where human intuition actually outperforms their predictive systems." Elena studied the complex patterns of human thought displayed before her. Unlike the precise, mathematical beauty of Symmetrian technology, human neural patterns were beautiful in their chaos, a symphony of impulses, instincts, and inspiration. "But there's more," Marcus continued, his excitement barely contained. "We've found a way to integrate these patterns directly into our ship systems. Instead of fighting our natural randomness, we're amplifying it." A test pilot entered a simulator pod, their mind connecting directly to a virtual spacecraft through the new neural interface. On the screens, the ship's movements became an extension of human consciousness, unpredictable yet purposeful, chaotic yet controlled. "The Symmetrians base everything on perfect mathematical models," Marcus explained. "But human consciousness doesn't work that way. We make intuitive leaps. We see patterns where there are none. We create order from chaos and chaos from order." And now, he gestured to the displays showing the pilot's neural activity. "Now we can turn that into a weapon." Elena watched as the simulated human ship danced through Symmetrian defense patterns, its movements defying prediction. "How soon can we implement this fleet-wide?" "That's the problem," Marcus admitted. "The interface is incredibly demanding. Most pilots can't handle it for more than a few minutes before the cognitive load becomes too much. We need someone special, someone who can." He was interrupted by a familiar voice, someone who already thinks in quantum uncertainty. They turned to see Dr. Sarah Chen entering the lab, still showing signs of fatigue from her evacuation from Hyperion. Elena's eyebrows rose. "Dr. Chen, I wasn't aware you were cleared to leave medical." "I cleared myself," Sarah replied, walking to the neural interface pod. "I spent 3 months working with quantum fields at Hyperion. My brain has already adapted to thinking in probabilities rather than certainties." She turned to Marcus. "Test me." The scientists exchanged glances, but Elena nodded. Sarah entered the pod, and the neural interface activated. The effect was immediate and stunning. The test ship didn't just evade Symmetrian attacks, it moved like water, like thought itself, turning the very principles of space combat into an art form. "My God," Marcus whispered, checking the neural load readings. "She's not just handling it, she's improving it. The interface is adapting to her thought patterns, creating new ways of movement that we never." A priority alert cut through the moment. Elena's comm device activated, projecting a tactical display. Multiple Symmetrian vessels detected entering the Tau Ceti system. "They're targeting the mining colonies." Sarah's voice came through the pod speakers, calm and determined. "Then it's time for a field test. The interface works, Admiral, and I know their weaknesses better than anyone." Elena studied the tactical display, then Sarah's neural readings. The decision took less than a second. "Prep the prototype vessel. Dr. Chen, consider yourself drafted. Project Chimera just went operational." As the laboratory erupted into activity, Sarah remained in the pod, her mind dancing through quantum probabilities. The Symmetrians had shown humanity a universe of perfect order, but they were about to learn why evolution had favored chaos. Sometimes, the most powerful force in the universe isn't the ability to follow the rules, it's the ability to break them. The prototype vessel Pandora hung in Earth's orbit like a dark promise. Unlike the sleek, geometric designs of traditional human ships, it was all curves and asymmetrical angles, its quantum alloy hull designed to amplify the chaos field Sarah would generate. Inside the neural interface chamber, she took a deep breath as the final connections were made. Neural sync initiating. Marcus's voice came through her comm. Remember, you're not just piloting the ship, you're becoming it. Let your instincts guide you. Sarah felt the interface activate, and suddenly her consciousness expanded. The Pandora wasn't just a ship anymore. It was an extension of her own nervous system. She could feel the quantum field rippling around her like a second skin, taste the solar wind, dance with gravity itself. Sync complete, she reported, her voice steady despite the overwhelming sensations. Beginning field generation. Admiral Santos watched from the command center as reality seemed to blur around the Pandora. Status of the TOF CD situation. 3 Symmetrian dreadnoughts have entered the system, her tactical officer reported. They're moving in their standard attack formation. Perfect triangular alignment. Of course they are, Alina muttered. They'd learned that the Symmetrians' greatest strength, their absolute precision, was also their greatest weakness. They couldn't comprehend, let alone counter. True randomness. Dr. Chen, you are cleared for quantum jump. Give them hell. The Pandora vanished in a burst of probability waves, reappearing in the TOS-CT system moments later. Sarah's enhanced consciousness immediately took in the situation. The Symmetrian ships were beautiful in their crystalline perfection, their formation maintaining distances measured to the micron. The mining colony behind them was dark, its power grid already disabled by the aliens' initial attack. Unknown vessel detected. The Symmetrian transmission cut through space, their translator turning their musical language into flat, precise words. Your design parameters violate established laws of spacetime. Surrender for analysis or be eliminated. Sarah didn't respond with words. Instead, she let her mind flow through the Pandora systems, generating a quantum uncertainty field so powerful it made reality itself stutter. The Symmetrian ship's perfect formation wavered as their sensors encountered something their algorithms couldn't process, pure human intuition amplified by technology. The battle that followed would rewrite military doctrine forever. The Pandora moved like a lucid dream, its actions guided not by physics and mathematics, but by the abstract connections of human consciousness. When the Symmetrians fired their energy weapons, Sarah didn't dodge based on calculations. She dodged based on feelings, hunches, the subtle patterns that only human minds could perceive. Impossible. The Symmetrian transmission came again, their perfect tone showing the first signs of strain. Your movement patterns contain no logical structure. You cannot exist. Sarah smiled as she initiated the Pandora's main weapon, a quantum disruptor that didn't just fire energy, but probability itself. That's humanity's secret, she transmitted back. We're not logical. We're alive. The quantum disruptor fired, its beams splitting into countless possibilities before converging on the lead Symmetrian vessel. Where it struck, order turned to chaos. The crystalline ship's perfect structure began to fragment as quantum uncertainty invaded its very atoms. The remaining Symmetrian ships attempted to adjust their tactics, but their responses were too perfect, too predictable. Sarah's human intuition, amplified by the neural interface, could see their moves before they made them, not through calculation, but through the same instinct that let a dancer anticipate their partner's steps. One by one, the mighty dreadnoughts fell to the Pandora's impossible attacks. Not destroyed, but reduced to drift powerless in space, their perfect systems overwhelmed by chaos they couldn't comprehend. As Sarah began emergency power restoration to the mining colony, Admiral Santos's voice came through the quantum comm. Remarkable work, Doctor. But the Symmetrians won't take this defeat lightly. They'll adapt, find new strategies. Let them try, Sarah replied, feeling the quantum fields dance around her ship. The more they try to impose order, the more powerful chaos becomes. That's the real nature of the universe, and humanity understands it in our bones. But even as she spoke, new sensor contacts appeared at the system's edge. More Symmetrian ships, dozens of them, their formations already shifting into new patterns. The real war was just beginning, and humanity's greatest test still lay ahead. The question wasn't whether chaos could defeat order. It was whether humanity could master chaos itself before the universe of perfect symmetry destroyed them all. 3 months into the war, Earth's quantum research facilities had transformed into something unprecedented. What began with one prototype vessel had evolved into Project Wildfire, a revolutionary attempt to network multiple human consciousness through quantum fields. Dr. Marcus Wong stood before the assembled pilots, their neural interfaces glowing softly in the dimmed briefing room. The Symmetrians have adapted to single-ship chaos patterns, he explained, projecting the latest battle data. They've developed algorithms to predict even our unpredictability, but they've never encountered anything like what we're about to attempt. Sarah Chen, now commander of the quantum fleet, studied the neural patterns displayed before them. The Pandora's success had proven the concept, but the Symmetrians were learning, their perfect minds finding ways to anticipate even chaos itself. Humanity needed to evolve. We're not just linking ships, she addressed the pilots. We're linking minds. Each of you will maintain your individual consciousness, but together, we'll create something the Symmetrians can't possibly predict. A quantum neural network of pure human intuition. Admiral Santos entered the briefing room, her expression grave. The Symmetrians have launched simultaneous attacks on 3 colony systems. Their new formations, she displayed the tactical data. They're mimicking our chaos patterns, but with mathematical precision. They're turning our own strategies against us. Sarah smiled. Perfect. They're trying to understand chaos through order. That's exactly what we wanted them to do. She turned to the pilots. They think they can calculate randomness, reduce it to equations, but we're about to show them what true chaos looks like. The prototype fleet launched within the hour, 12 ships, each uniquely designed to amplify its pilot's neural signature. As they moved into formation, Sarah initiated the quantum network. Consciousness expanded, not just into one ship, but into a web of human minds connected through probability itself. The sensation was overwhelming. Each pilot remained distinct, but their thoughts flowed together like streams joining a river. They could feel each other's instincts, share hunches, and impulses at the speed of thought. The ships moved in patterns that weren't just unpredictable. They were impossible, guided by a collective human consciousness that defied any attempt at mathematical analysis. The first battle of the networked fleet took place in the Proxima system. The Symmetrians had arrived in force, hundreds of ships arranged in formations that superficially mimicked chaos while maintaining their fundamental order. Their attacks came in waves of calculated randomness, each move precisely imperfect. But the human fleet moved like a dream given form. Where the Symmetrians attempted to calculate chaos, humanity simply lived it. Ships spiraled through impossible vectors, their movements guided not by individual pilots, but by the collective unconscious of the human mind itself. Quantum weapons fired not at where the enemy ships were, but at where human intuition sensed they might be. The Symmetrian transmissions became increasingly erratic. Your tactics violate fundamental laws of cognitive physics. Individual minds cannot achieve quantum coherence. This is not possible. That's humanity's next lesson. Sarah transmitted back, feeling the neural network pulse with shared purpose. We're not individual minds anymore. We're something new, something your perfect order never imagined could exist. The battle should have been hopeless. 12 ships against hundreds. But the networked fleet moved with an organic unity that made the Symmetrians' calculated chaos look like child's play. One by one, the alien vessels fell into confusion, their perfect formations breaking down as they encountered something beyond their comprehension. True collective consciousness, born not of mathematical precision, but of shared human dreams. As the last Symmetrian ships retreated, Admiral Santos's voice cut through the quantum link. "Remarkable victory, Commander. But our long-range sensors are detecting something massive assembling at the edge of known space. The Symmetrians are gathering their entire fleet." Sarah felt the neural network pulse with anticipation. The pilots' shared consciousness had tasted victory, but they all knew this was just the beginning. The Symmetrians would return with something new, something even more perfect in its attempt to master chaos. "Let them come," Sarah replied, feeling the thoughts of her networked pilots resonate with her own. "They're fighting against the very force that created them, the universal tendency toward complexity, toward consciousness itself. The more they try to impose perfect order, the more they prove our point." But as the quantum network hummed with human thought, none of them could predict the true nature of the coming battle. The Symmetrians weren't just gathering their fleet. They were about to reveal why they feared chaos so much, and why humanity's embrace of uncertainty might be the only thing that could save not just Earth, but reality itself. The void at the edge of human space erupted with the largest quantum disturbance ever detected. Sarah and her networked fleet watched as the Symmetrian armada emerged, not hundreds of ships, but thousands, arranged in a hyperdimensional pattern that seemed to fold space itself. But something was different. The Symmetrian ships weren't just geometrically perfect anymore. They were becoming something else, their crystalline forms merging into a singular structure that defied comprehension. "By all the stars," Marcus whispered through the quantum link. "They're not just ships. They're trying to impose perfect order on space-time itself." Sarah felt it through the neural network, a deep primal recognition of what they were witnessing. The Symmetrians weren't just fighting humanity. They were fighting entropy itself, trying to freeze the universe in a state of perfect, unchanging order. The massive structure pulsed, and reality shuddered. Probability fields began to collapse around it, quantum uncertainty giving way to absolute determinism. In its wake, chaos itself began to die. "Now you understand." The Symmetrian transmission came, not in words, but in pure mathematical concepts. "Chaos is a disease. Uncertainty is death. We are the cure. We will make all things perfect, unchanging, eternal." Through the neural network, Sarah felt the horror of her fellow pilots. A universe of perfect order wouldn't just mean the end of humanity. It would mean the end of evolution, of creativity, of life itself. Everything that made existence beautiful would freeze in eternal stasis. But she also felt something else through the network, not fear, but recognition, understanding. The Symmetrians weren't evil. They were afraid. Afraid of change, of death, of the fundamental uncertainty that drove the universe forward. "All ships," she commanded, her consciousness resonating through the quantum link. "Prepare for final protocol. We're not just fighting for humanity anymore. We're fighting for the right of reality to remain uncertain." The networked fleet moved as one, but not in any pattern the Symmetrians could predict. Each ship became an expression of pure human consciousness, moving not through space, but through probability itself. They weren't just generating chaos anymore. They were embracing it, becoming one with the fundamental uncertainty of existence. The Symmetrian structure attacked with weapons that didn't just destroy. They rewrote the laws of physics, trying to impose perfect order on everything they touched. But the human fleet danced through impossibility, their networked consciousness creating patterns that couldn't exist, shouldn't exist, yet did. "You cannot win," the Symmetrians transmitted. "Order is inevitable. Entropy must end. Change must stop." Sarah felt the truth crystallize in her mind, echoing through the neural network. "That's where you're wrong," she replied. "Change isn't the enemy. It's the point. The universe isn't meant to be perfect. It's meant to be alive." In that moment, the networked human consciousness reached a new level of understanding. They weren't just fighting chaos versus order. They were demonstrating why both were necessary. Through their quantum link, they began to generate something new. Patterns that were both ordered and chaotic, structured yet unpredictable. The symmetrian structure faltered, its perfect geometries encountering something it couldn't compute, the paradox of organized chaos, of structured uncertainty. Through their desire to impose perfect order, they had become the very thing they feared, a force of destruction, of entropy, breaking down the beautiful complexity of existence. Sarah and her fleet pressed their advantage, not attacking with weapons but with consciousness itself. Their quantum fields didn't destroy the symmetrian structure. They transformed it, introducing the gift of uncertainty into its perfect lattices. The structure began to change, its rigid patterns flowering into something new. The symmetrians experienced, for the first time, the beauty of imperfection, the joy of uncertainty, the freedom of chaos within bounds. "This is what you were afraid of," Sarah transmitted, feeling the wonder and fear of the symmetrians as they began to understand. Not chaos itself, but the fact that it's necessary. That perfection isn't the absence of change. It's the balance between order and chaos. The battle ended not with destruction, but with transformation. The symmetrian structure dissolved, not into ruin, but into a new form of existence, one that understood the necessity of both order and chaos, structure and freedom, certainty and doubt. As the quantum network pulsed with shared triumph, Sarah felt the truth that humanity had always known in their bones. The universe wasn't meant to be perfect. It was meant to be possible. And in the space between order and chaos, between certainty and doubt, between what was and what could be, that's where life truly existed. The war was over, but humanity's journey was just beginning. They had proved themselves not just to the symmetrians, but to the universe itself. In a reality that constantly balanced on the edge between order and chaos, humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology, or even their neural networks. It was their ability to embrace uncertainty, to find beauty in imperfection, to dance on the quantum edge between what was known and what was possible. They were the children of chaos and order both, and in their consciousness laid the seeds of a new kind of existence, one where perfection meant not the absence of change, but the endless possibility of it. As the fleet turned toward home, Sarah felt the quantum network pulse with shared purpose. They had saved not just humanity, but the right of all things to grow, to change, to evolve. In doing so, they had discovered something profound. In a universe of infinite possibility, the most beautiful things weren't the most perfect. They were the most alive.